The following thoughts on Hoppe Hour do not represent Cox Media Group or its sponsoring. Anything you hear may and will be used against you. Thank you. Voted as best local podcast in Tampa Bay by the Creative Loafing. You're listening to Hoppe Hour.
How are your levels, Seth?
I have no idea. You're the one staring at the computer, Hoppe.
Mine look pretty good. Yours look very sexy, dude.
Good. That's what I was aiming for.
Are you ready?
No. Are we recording right now?
Yeah.
All right.
What up? What is happening? This is Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe. And I've had over 59 interviews since July, and I thought, why not make Seth Kushner from Drew Garabo Live on 102.5 The Bone the 60th interview? Hey, dude.
I actually wore number 60 when I played high school football, so that's crazy.
It was meant to be, dude.
I love that, Hoppe. I never played it. I was third-string offensive line, and we only had 2 strings, but they actually retired my number at Gaither High School.
Why were you so bad at it? What happened?
Hoppe, look at me. I'm like not big enough to play offensive line. I know you make fun of me and say I have a dad bod and shit, but I mean I wasn't big enough to play offensive line back in the day.
Yeah, I think you got to hit the gym with Drew and figure that out. You got to get your life together.
I felt actually great about my physique until I ran into you in the parking lot the other day.
Yeah, that was random. I'm walking in after I worked out, and I'm about to go do Hoppe Hour, and I run into Seth. And I just began talking to him, and then I'm like, dude, you got to work on your dad bod a little bit.
God, and just so you know, everybody I work with says I don't have a dad bod. So either they're trying to make me feel better about myself,
or I'm a douche.
Or you're just bringing a harsh reality to the table, Hoppe.
Well, I'm a very outspoken person, which I think sometimes hurts me a lot because I want to get the elephant out of the room. I was a douche. Between May to October, I came in here. It wasn't that I didn't know my territory, but I didn't know the consequences, and I thought Hoppe Hour was something bigger than it was. And I thought I was almost not appreciating what I have and what Mike Olivero gave me, and I wasn't appreciating the exposure that Kelta and Drew and everybody here has given me. And I was just being ungrateful. So when Drew got mad at me on air and I called in, that was the moment when I think my radio career changed forever. Because that made me realize that I can't be using the rooms during the day. So
have you been in therapy or something, or did you just realize this?
I'm in therapy.
Are you?
I've been in therapy. I was in therapy after the phone call, and I was not about to cry, but I've been in therapy since August, and I've been meditating. I'm a different man, Seth.
Are you on meds at all, or you're just?
Oh yeah.
Are you?
Klonopin.
Really?
Lamictal, Xanax.
Look, you got any more Xanax?
I'll give you some.
Oh man, dude, I just started therapy again, and I've never been on any medicine before. But the stuff that I'm going through, I can't fight through with meditation. I can't fight through with working out.
Sucks. I'm trying so hard, dude. I can't get into it.
I think with guys like us and people who just they constantly have to think, it's hard to shut your brain off.
Dude, when I was meditating last night, I was thinking about my favorite episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Then I thought about deep dish pizza. Then I thought about radio, and I'm like, I can't do this.
What kind of deep dish? Lou Malnati's?
No, Giordano's.
Okay.
Wait, you're a Lou Malnati's guy?
Yeah, I don't like Giordano's at all.
Get out.
Okay.
Interview's done.
Good. I'd love to get home to my wife.
So how has everything been with you and Phoebe? Because I really look up to your relationship with her.
Do you?
Because you guys keep it professional, but I can tell between you two, you guys love each other more than anything.
Really? How do you pick up on these things, Hoppe? When have you seen us together? Is it just over social media?
Just over social media, and I can just tell on the air that there's not hatred and it's not like, oh, I've been with him for a few years.
Right, like if you hear a lot of guys talk about their wives or girlfriends on the radio, it seems like they hate them.
Or even married couples that do radio shows, you can tell they despise each other. Like sometimes the fake couples on air sound better than the married couples.
What other couples are there? I know of Chad and Christy that do.
No,
okay.
Not that show. There's shows in small markets
are there?
that
Okay.
go to a radio conference. No, not them. I don't want people thinking I'm talking about them.
No, they're great. They actually do love each other. They've been doing radio for a long time.
But I'm just saying, I respect what you have with Phoebe.
Thank
because
you.
you guys make it work.
Yes.
Even if Drew pulls some pranks, does she ever get mad at that?
No, I get more mad than the only time I really ever got mad is when she does a great job of handling a lot of shit that she hears on the radio and doesn't get upset about it because she knows I do it for a living. But the time that she interlocked fingers with Drew Garabo in the hallway really, really bothered me and still does. Why would you want your girl to hold hands with another guy? To me, that's very intimate. Wouldn't you say?
All she's doing is holding his hands. She's not holding anything else, bro.
A hand is just as much of, it's like a dick. I mean,
if she were to hold someone else's D, I feel like you would kill him. Because if you're freaking out over her touching another person's hand, you would freak out.
Hoppe, they didn't just like brush hands in the hallway. They interlocked fingers. That's freaking intimate. No?
No, because Drew would never do that to you. He's your best friend.
Is he?
I think so.
I don't know this to be true at all, but I trust you.
I think we're friends too. I think
you and me, or you and Drew.
both.
I think we're getting there. I think that your assessment of how you were early on is very accurate. So whether you hammered that out with all the meds you're on, or in therapy, or just meditating,
I want to explain. Between May to October, I wasn't on Klonopin because I couldn't find a psychiatrist around here. You had to wait like 8 weeks just for the orientation.
Oh, I know.
And then they would give you. Yeah,
oh, I know.
And then you get the meds afterwards. So from May to October, I was just on Lamictal. I wasn't sleeping well. I was having speech problems. So after that happened was kind of when I had an epiphany, and I'm really working on being a better person. The other thing I did, Seth, that was so irritating was I would be done answering phones for Roger and JP, or I'd be done on Kelta Show, and I would not leave. I would bother you at your desk. I would bother Drew after Roger and JP, like, how's it going, guys? How you doing? Like, the one thing I ever learned in Cleveland during my time there is that you can't be a fanboy in radio, and I was in awe of being around you guys, and now I just see you guys as co-workers and work friends, and I really work on being a better person.
Well, I feel like a lot of the time you're always asking questions about radio. Some other times you would talk a lot about your podcast, but you're right. I think that you were around here a lot, and you were probably rubbing people the wrong way, and you're obviously still around here just at night now, but I think we're getting the right doses of Hoppe to where I never really had a problem with you, but I think now people are starting to come around on you, and Drew's one of those people.
Because I would meditate, and I would be like, oh my God, I'm ruining my dream in a top 20 market, because it just seems so surreal that I was interviewing people like you, Miguel, Mo, Johnny B. I was interviewing everyone.
I'm in great company. I like how you didn't even mention like they interviewed Soul Brother Kevin or Mike Calta or anything like that.
I meant that first month.
Okay.
No, I've had Bob from Bob and Tom on. I had Jim Norton on.
I know. I saw that.
I can die a happy man. I've never climaxed during sex, but that was the closest without anything gay. I was just like, oh my God. I was like, this is my hero.
I'm sorry. You've never climaxed during sex? Is that for real, or is that a joke?
Oh, it's for real because of my meds.
Oh, how many times have you had sex though? Like a lot?
4 times.
Really?
I can only climax when someone's going south of the border, which is unfortunate.
Oh, well, that's not too bad. That'll happen.
That means she has to give me work that's not necessary.
Well, I think if a girl likes the guy, she doesn't mind doing that. Maybe you're just not with women who like you.
Well, I banged a fan who was 30 years old that had 2 kids, and her kids were sleeping, and I banged her in her room.
Was that in here? Was that in Tampa? Kim?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm leaving it in there, too.
I know about your escapades.
No, this was this fan that lived in Brandon.
Oh.
And she really sucks.
You traveled.
Oh, yeah. She hit me up. She's like, I'm so bored. I drove across that Howard Franklin at 11 o'clock at night to get some.
Now, let me ask you how that happens, because I have had sex more than 4 times, but I've only had sex with 4 women. So when you're just showing up to a woman's house and it's a listener, how does that all go down? Do you act like you want to watch TV, or do you just do it right away?
It was weird. So I get to her door, and she's like, wow, you're more tall than I thought. I'm like, oh, thank you. And I'm an awkward guy as it is, so
yes.
imagine me around women. And she goes, okay, do you want to come inside? And I'm like, sure. So then I don't remember how it happens. We just begin making out. Her clothes come off.
Right away, like
yes.
within the first 10 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then she begins going like south of the border on me. So then...
We can cuss on here, right?
Yeah, but I like to keep it clean just so that it's radio friendly.
Oh,
so
okay.
If I were to get picked up.
I'm sorry.
She begins then going cowgirl on me, but the problem was I couldn't climax. She climaxed 3 times. I only climaxed when she went to the lower part of my body.
Do you think that she was lying when she said that she was climaxing?
Oh, no, because she was like, how did you not climax? I climaxed 3 times. That made me feel like a champ, though. When I drove home across the Howard Franklin, I'm like, I did it.
Were you doing anything special, or was she doing all the work? She was doing all the work, wasn't she?
She was doing all the work, but I mean, I held it.
She just like used you as a balance beam, and she handled it all, and you were stationary. I'm imagining, right? Because it's very hard to get women to climax when you're actually trying. So I can't imagine that. And I don't mean this in any disrespect.
Oh, yeah,
but
you do.
I can't imagine. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't imagine you know what you're doing at all.
You don't know what you're doing?
I don't know what I'm doing. Is that wrong?
I'm so uncoordinated that's the only position I'm good at. I'm not good at man, I don't want to make this a pornographic show.
Yeah.
Any other position where you have to do the work, let's say, I'm not coordinated enough. I can't even walk down the hall correctly. How am I supposed to do missionary or something?
I think you're getting taller, just so you know.
Oh, yeah, Soul Brother Kevin and I are debating that. I think I got taller, too, because I'll look at the ground, and I'm like, the ground seems more far than usual.
Yeah, when I saw you when you snuck up on me in the parking lot, I'm like, man, Hoppe's definitely getting bigger.
What's it like when it's been a long show? You've been here since 10 a.m. doing prep at Phoebe's desk.
I was really honestly waiting for you. Actually, I'm in the office now with Drew, so...
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I was actually hoping that you would tell me that we were canceled for today and that we would just keep putting it off and it would never happen at all. But yeah, I mean, it's a long day. People think I'm insane, but I get here at 10:30 to start prepping for our show that starts at 2.
So what's it like when you're like, okay, it was a good show today. I'm going to go home, eat dinner, hang out with my wife, go to bed, and then you see me and you're like, crap, I'm going to have to talk to him.
What, in the hallway or just as far as the podcast
when
goes?
we first talked to each other in the parking lot last week.
You know, especially with you, if I wanted to leave, I would say, hey, dude, I got to go. But you always are kind of a rapid fire with the questions. Like, you'll ask me a question, I'll start answering, and then you'll start giving me a thought on something else. So you always kind of keep things going, and it seems like you're genuinely interested. It doesn't seem like you're just hanging around the conversation because you don't want it to get awkward at all. And you're excited about being in radio. And I feel like ever since you got here, even when you were in your quote-unquote annoying phase, I feel like I always wanted to be here to try to answer anything that you needed.
That's why I felt bad, was just I felt like I was disrespecting everyone because you gave me such good advice, and then I'm here doing a show that makes them no money, and I'm not being grateful. So that's why I hid my face, and I come here at 6 when everybody leaves, so I'm not around.
I think the big thing is when... I remember that day you were interviewing somebody, and
yes,
I was
that's the day I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was trying to help you find a production room, and then it was.
That's not even. I had nightmares about that.
Did you?
I had nightmares of me getting kicked out after that happened. I had nightmares.
Well, I think that you held your own when you were talking to Drew on his show, and we even played it during one of our best of segments. And you know, obviously, Drew has had his feelings towards you, probably leaning in the negative direction. But I think he's finally starting to come around on Hoppe.
I hid my face. I quit favoriting his tweets and trying to suck up to him.
Is that what you were doing? So you didn't really actually like his tweets? You would just do it thinking that he would like you?
Well, I was such a kiss ass back then. I was so annoying. Even Drew could attest to that.
You don't like any of my stuff, dude.
You never tweet.
I tweet all the time.
Well, you tweet fans. No one wants to favorite that. That's one thing I will compliment you on. Nobody here does it because everyone here is gracious of the fans, but a lot of radio people will just add back like 8 people and not interact with the fans. Some people let the fame get to their head. What I like about you is even though you're growing by the minute into town, you're always humble to everybody, and you just remember where you came from.
Well, I've always been, I mean, when I used to work on 97X and there wasn't as many people that listened, to the show as now, I always wanted to acknowledge everybody who acknowledged me. And now on Twitter, I can't write everybody back during the show. I try to favorite a lot of tweets, and then people will say, oh, yeah, you just favorite everything. But, like, I've sent people tweets before, and they don't acknowledge it at all. So, so I feel like if somebody's slapping a favorite on it, I feel like that means, hey, I saw your tweet. I'm acknowledging you. Thanks for interacting. And a lot of people have an issue with that, and that really bothers me deep down, Hoppe.
What's a tweet you've gotten from somebody, a retweet or a tweet where you're like, oh, my God. Like mine was when Jim Norton retweeted my picture, and he said, Hoppe's a good boy. You had some good things today on the Mike Kelta show. And I was like, everybody that listens to Owen J saw that.
He tweeted you that?
Yeah, he said, you're a good boy. Thank you for interviewing me.
But did he retweet your podcast link?
He retweeted the picture.
Okay, but not the podcast link.
I'll take the picture. They talked about me, too, on the show that Monday. He gave me a shout-out. My show has over 400 listens. I'm going to tweet it out to him next week again because I don't want to over-tweet it.
Yeah.
But that was the happiest moment of my life, dude.
Over-tweet it, Hoppe. I mean, people are on Twitter at different times. So, I mean, you have like, what, 5,000, 6,000 followers?
6,432.
Not counting at all. But yeah, I would tweet it out. I would tweet it out in the morning. I would tweet it out at night because I'm doing a podcast with Drew now, and I'm starting to see we tweet the link out at different times of the day. But I feel like
afternoon's the best.
Yeah, I feel like doing it in the morning when people are waking up, or the weekend, not when Mike Kelta's on the air, or doing it in the evening when people are settling in, they're at home and they're bored. So you just got to hit them with that link all the time.
How has your podcast been going? Because it's been growing by the minute. Because the first few podcasts seemed like you guys were getting into the groove of things.
Yeah.
But now it seems like it's getting legit. I like it.
We didn't know what we were doing at all, obviously. We just wanted to start going in there. And Drew and I like working together. We like bouncing off each other. And we wanted to start doing a podcast. And, yeah, we're 8 episodes deep now. And I think we're starting to find our groove. We want to start interviewing people. And it's a whole different thing.
what is the format you guys do? Like, what podcast would you compare it to? Is it sort of like your old 97X show? Like, what is the approach you guys bring to it?
The approach is that we don't really plan it out, unlike our radio show, which is very structured. We don't really plan anything out, but we're starting to, we just are trying to find our way right now. We just did an interview with Danielle, who we used to work with on 97X, and that was one of our most listened to episodes in the last 4 weeks, and we did it in 2 parts, kind of a to be continued, and people are into that. So I've set up a couple more interviews, but I don't listen to a lot of podcasts at all. I've heard your podcast before. I listened to The Crowded Table with John Senning, Dennis, and Jake. I've heard SBK's podcast, but I don't spend a lot of time listening to podcasts at all. So I don't know what to pattern ourselves after. I just feel like Drew and I, we do good radio together, so why could we not do a good podcast together?
Yeah, it's weird. I used to be such a radio geek that I feel like in the beginning I was trying so hard to be a shock jock, like all the guys with the made-up names, but now I'm just trying to be myself because I was trying to overcompensate. I used to call Kim Kardashian a dumb slut, a whore.
Yeah.
Now it's like, why even give her the time of day, that dumbass?
Did I ever tell you that I saw you, that Tim Clark and I saw you in Chicago at boot camp a couple years ago?
You told me that the first time we ever met. I was at the morning show boot camp, this radio conference, and I went up there for the Phil Hendry panel.
You cut and this is great because Tim Clark pretty much like runs our company. I was with Tim Clark because we wanted to get a picture with Phil Henry, one of the greatest of all time. Phil, hi, if you're listening to this podcast. And you cut right in front of us. You had no problem at all trying to get Phil Henry to take a picture with you. And then Tim and I stood there for 30 minutes waiting for Phil to get done with this conversation because we were so afraid to ask him, and you got right in front of us. You also got up during the Phil Henry
and asked, and I brought up the bone.
You said,
real
yeah.
Radio.
You said that you did you said that you were on the air and you did a show that was half top 40, half edgy or controversy or something like that.
I did a show where I would play songs from the 2000s on an overnight. It was WNUR 89.3. It was community radio.
Yeah.
And I would play top 40 hits from the 2000s, and I would rant about the news. I was really proud of it.
So you got up there and you asked Phil Henry a question, and you mentioned the bone in Tampa, and then Tim Clark and I looked at each other. We're like, man, this guy knows about the bone. And then there was this was a morning show boot camp where they, it's some sort of expensive convention where they try to show people how to do morning shows. And what did you do? That was interesting that you paid your own way to get there, right?
No, I actually lived in Chicago. I paid for the hotel room, but I was the intern because Don Anthony gave me the foot in the door. That's basically how I got my break in radio because everyone's like, who the hell is this tall goofball? He can't have his own morning show right now. So then that's how I network with everybody. Like, everyone there knows me.
And for the morning show boot camp, there was a stupid hashtag. It was like hashtag like MS, BC 2014, whatever. So I click on the hashtag with Tim Clark because he's our digital guy, and all you see, no one's using the hashtag except Hoppe, and Hoppe has a picture with every single person in radio at the convention, and that's when the legend of Hoppe started to grow. So a year later, when you came down here and worked, we already knew who you were, even the guy at the top of our company.
How mad was Tim when I cut in front of him? I was just so oblivious. Like, that's how annoying I was back then. Is I'm like, whatever, I'll cut in front.
I thought it was great that you had the balls to just do it. I mean, because we were so nervous. I was so nervous about approaching Phil Henry. I don't approach anybody because I don't really care at all. But Phil Henry, who's a radio legend, I said I have to get a picture with this guy. And we waited. He was talking to some sponsors, and I just wanted to wait until he was done. And, man, you just shimmied right on in there.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about me is I'm very awkward in social situations, but when I'm in the zone, I just go for it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because I stood around and wasted an hour waiting for Phil.
Oh, I was like, he may leave in a few minutes. This is my one chance to see a legend. Like when I met Tom from Bob and Tom the year before, everybody was like nervous to approach him, and I just view it as they're just human beings, which is how I need to approach women, because if I can go up to these radio legends and not be nervous, why can't I pick up a girl at the bar? It's ridiculous.
Well, because the radio legends probably know that you're not trying to have sex with them at all. So I think that's probably why you're a bit more nervous when you see the women. But don't, Hoppe, you're way too big to approach women at a bar. Like, try to meet women online. You're online a lot. Like, how is that not working out for you?
I like that.
I
like that.
Overall, how is that working out for you? It's not.
I met the fan that I slept with last month, and that's it. I went on a date with this girl about a month ago, a little bit out of my league. She was 6 foot. She played volleyball in college. Great body.
How old
really
is she?
hot.
Older?
23.
Okay.
And it seemed like the perfect match. Never heard from her again.
What'd you guys do on the date?
We went to the bar next to Janice Live's Pelican Pub. So romantic.
We got to give you some places to go around town, Hoppe.
With what money, dude?
Oh, man. Are you doing, how many jobs do you have right now?
I'm looking for another one because the landscaping ended, and then my car got hit by a drunk driver while I was sleeping. I had it parked on the block, so the right side of my car got hit. So I can't do Uber, so I feel like a bum.
Are you in South St. Pete?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I live off of 22nd Avenue North.
Don't tell everybody where
Gee,
you
I
live.
should just give out my
What
address.
the hell are you doing, Hoppe? I was just trying to get the general area for where you be staying at.
Yeah, I live in a weird neighborhood, dude. You probably see my tweets when I bitch about my neighbors.
Yeah, it's something that I've enjoyed since I met you, is that you have a lot of things to say about really everything, but especially the area you live in.
I think that annoyed people, too, is they're like, how is this tall goofball so outspoken? But then when you realize that when I'm behind the mic, I'm in the zone, you see who I am.
Are you in the zone right now?
Oh, damn right I am.
Okay, good.
I'm like the Matrix, dude.
Is this the highlight of your day, doing the podcast?
Oh, yeah, because I woke up, went on Mike Kelter show. That was the highlight.
And punch Galvin in the face.
I didn't mean to. It slipped.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Couldn't believe that happened.
You look scared, though. Were you scared?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Because then he got mad at me, but...
Yeah, no, I saw the replay, man. It looked, I don't know what I would have done if I were you, because Galvin definitely was not playing around.
Oh, I was scared. So then that happened. I took a nap because I couldn't deal with the anxiety. Watched Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix, funny show. Went to the gym, and now I'm here. I live such an exciting life.
What do you do at the gym?
I lift.
Do you?
I don't have a certain regimen. Like Mike Olivero gave me all these workouts I should do, but
Listen to him. He's got muscles. He knows.
I want to work out with somebody. I want to like meet a girl that's hot and works out.
Listen, dude, you got a lot of followers on Twitter. Everybody's a personal trainer. Somebody will help you for free.
I should work out with Miguel.
He does CrossFit, though. That's pretty intense, isn't it?
Yeah. What do you think of this? Do you hate people that brag about working out online? I find it to be nauseating. It's like, go away.
I don't know. I find people who have to live their whole lives online, I feel to be like...
So what about me, then? Do you not like me?
I don't feel like you live your whole life online. I feel like if I didn't know you at all, I wouldn't follow you on Twitter, but I feel like I get to go inside the mind of a Ryan Hoppe, and
want to be there.
You are. I do, because there's a lot of fun medicine floating around in your head, and I think that it's great that you have an opinion on so many things, because I don't care about, really, I care about maybe like 5 things, but you care about everything. You have an opinion on everything, and I think that's great.
Dude, I can just read a headline and rant about it for 20 minutes on my show.
I know, and I have to be really into something to actually have anything to say about it.
What do you care about in life? Anything besides your wife and dogs?
I care about my wife. I care about my dogs. I care about radio. I care about football a lot. I care about the Bears.
The season sucked, dude, for both ends.
I thought the Bears did a lot better than I had anticipated.
I'm so sick of people saying that. We need to win. We need to be in the playoffs.
But
I'm so sick of... They did better than I thought.
Hoppe, they have no talent at all. They had no talent. They got a new general manager.
I'm just sick of it.
I know. I'm sick of it, too.
I'm sick of Chicago sports. Besides, the Cubs are okay, but they're not going to win.
Right.
They don't have luck.
Well, I don't know, man. As a White Sox guy who actually hates the Cubs, they've got an incredible...
Oh, shut up. How can you hate the Cubs as a White Sox fan?
I was born on the south side.
That doesn't mean diddly squat.
I was born on the south side of Chicago, and I've had to deal with, up until the White Sox won the World Series, and even after, a bunch of Cubs fans talking about how White Sox fans are low class, and
they are.
Well, look at that, dude. That's you're painting with such a broad brush. And I've been to those White Sox. What are they called? Where the American League plays the National League. Anyways, I've been to the interleague, whatever. I've been to those White Sox and Cubs games, and Cubs fans are just out of control as White Sox fans.
They're amazing. They're great people.
Yeah, they're great.
Hot, and they get drunk. It's amazing.
Wrigley Field is just a disaster.
It's
a dump. It's gross. I like U.S. Cellular
Field. How about
Field.
the neighborhood outside of U.S. Cellular? Should be embarrassed.
It's beautiful unless you're trying to catch a cab or get on the train at the end of the game, and then it's a bit scary.
Or you're just people watching, then you'll get shot.
No, it's always like I always try to decide, okay, well, the White Sox normally suck, so we have no problem leaving the game early. But if I'm with Phoebe or my brothers, it's like, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to get a cab? Are we going to get on the train? And then if we're on the train, we're stuffed on there, and I'm just trying to hold on to a rail.
Now, let's imagine this. Let's paint a scenario. You're waiting for a cab, and the cab's not coming, and some guy comes up and begins hitting on Phoebe.
Okay.
And Phoebe doesn't look like she's into it, but
what's he saying?
She's kind of like saying, Seth, can you help me?
Right.
Now, you're a bit of a sissy, so what would you do?
Let's clarify the sissy remark.
I'm just saying, like, you're not a sissy. That was a bad word.
No, I know.
You're kind of... We're very similar.
I'm not aggressive.
You're just not a guy that's going to punch someone in the face.
Right. Now, if this happens outside of the White Sox Stadium in Chicago, I'm probably dealing with somebody who's a bit sketchy. It's not like we're standing out in front of
a gun in her pocket.
Yeah, I mean, I've been approached in Chicago many times. There was a guy who actually, it's funny you called me a sissy. There was a guy when I was in downtown who approached me in front of Phoebe and my brother and said, "You want to box me, sissy?" And he just was staring at me. So sissy's a great word, especially when it comes to Chicago. But I don't know what I would do, man. I wouldn't try to fight the guy at all. I would try to just grab Phoebe and hopefully we could just move along and go find another cab or get on the train. But I would try to take myself.
Pick her up like a princess and run.
I would just try to get myself out of the situation as quickly as possible.
Because I've often wondered what I would do if I had a girl and she were to get approached, because I'm not coordinated. I mean, I can't even punch somebody on the radio right. What am I going to do?
I don't, Hoppe, just
I'm
so
hopeless.
I don't think anybody's going to mess with you or your girl. You're a big guy. You're a menacing presence.
Then they'll see me when I walk, and they'll be like, yeah, it's okay.
No, they're going to think that you play for the Bulls or something, dude. No one's going to mess with you.
Have you seen how I walk? I limp. As Soul Brother Kevin says, I have a hippity-hoppity the way I walk.
You do. I can do a good impression of your walk.
Can you do an impression of my voice?
No. Well, I mean...
Because you have your own voice, so of course you can't do others.
I mean, I don't really do impressions at all, but I feel like I could... I don't feel like I can necessarily nail your voice, but I feel like I know what you say a lot. Where if you came up to me in the parking lot, you'd be like, "Hey, Seth, how's it going? Does Drew like me at all? Because and by the way, you got kind of a dad bod, but Drew's really cut. Like, what's Drew doing?" I'm not saying that you have like a dad bod at all, but I'm just saying that like Drew looks a lot better. So if you could just tell me what he's been doing in the gym, that'd be great. Did you listen to my Jim Norton podcast at all? 719 views and counting. I got to get you on my podcast. Maybe something with you and Soul Brother Kevin. So I can't necessarily do the voice, but I know what you say.
That was scary because it wasn't a good impersonation, but that was like listening to me talk. Because that's my mind. It's like rambling thoughts.
It's good. It's fun. I appreciate a mind that doesn't stop.
Yeah, dude, you should be in my mind for a day. It's weird. Especially when I'm going across the Howard Franklin. That's when I have my best thoughts. And I'll play like the same 4 songs in the car. Like, you know the song by Michelle Branch and Santana, The Game of Love?
Oh, yeah.
That is my jam, dude.
Really?
I've come up with the best things ever when I have that song on.
Like what? Great ideas?
I came up with Hoppe TV, where you upload the Periscope video up there. I came up with interviewing people. That song puts me in the zone, dude. I hope the first climax when I listen to this.
Wow, dude. Maybe you should try that. You got to start bringing Santana and Michelle Branch into the bedroom.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Michelle Branch had another song, though, that I liked.
Everywhere.
Yes.
Dude, she's my girl. She's wifey material.
Oh, dude, you are such a character, man. Nobody has ever said that the Michelle Branch, Carlos Santana song gets him in the zone, but I appreciate that because I like weird stuff.
Now, I want to get your take on this. I just said that Michelle Branch is wifey material.
Okay.
What did you see in Phoebe where you're like, yeah, she's wifey material. I could marry that. I just said that in the most imbecile way. How did you get attracted to Phoebe? What did you see in her?
Man, this is getting hard-hitting all of a sudden. I was friends with Phoebe. We were both worked at 97X, and I was friends with her for...
Does that drive you nuts when you're friends with her and you're like, she's so hot?
No, I didn't like her at all. I never liked her at all. I think I liked her as a friend, but I think she always liked me romantically.
Oh, yeah, your gray looks.
No, what am I not a good-looking guy, Hoppe? I mean,
you're better looking than me.
You're tearing me apart. My physique, my face. I mean, geez, I can't. I wanted to walk out of here feeling good about myself. No, it was just we were friends, and she had a boyfriend, and I did my thing, and then one day we were leaving a next big thing party, and I really want to cuss right now.
Swear, I mean, it's uncensored.
Okay,
podcast.
we were leaving the next big thing party, and I think like she put like her head innocently in my lap, and I think I was like playing with her hair, and
Jesus.
What? Are you getting a boner?
No, I'm just going on.
Is it gross? It's gross. I don't know what to tell you, dude.
No, go on. So what happened? So she has her head. She has her head south of the border. So what happened?
But nothing was. We had our clothes on. Like nothing was happening at all. And nothing happened that night. But I think that's when things started to change. And she actually had a boyfriend still at the time. So
that makes it spicy.
Yeah, he was a dick. He was some loser college football player. So I don't mean loser. He might have been a nice guy.
So she went from muscles, physique, talent to you.
Hoppe, how do you know this guy had talent? Were you scouting him in Kentucky? You don't know anything about this guy. Yeah, it was just honestly, I know it sounds generic and corny and cheesy and all that shit, but it just kind of happened. It was just you hear people say it just happened, and you go, what does that mean? But it just kind of happened when you've been friends with somebody for so long, and I think that I was looking for a girlfriend at the time. Included the last podcast that I did with Drew, we touched on that I had a huge crush on Danielle, who I worked with at 97X back in the day. And before anything happened with Phoebe, I knew that Phoebe liked me. I told Danielle that I really, really liked her. And Phoebe and Danielle were really good friends at the time.
What'd she say? How do you approach it when you talk to your coworker from the morning show and you're like, I really like you?
I didn't say it like that. I just said I got to tell people how I feel, Hoppe. I mean, that's just I don't hold anything in. If whether it's a girl that I like,
when I do that, it never works for me.
It's okay because I'd rather tell somebody I like them and have them not be in my life than have somebody in my life who I love and I'm obsessed with, and they don't feel the same way about me.
So you're obsessed with Danielle?
I liked her a lot back in the day.
But you were obsessed with her.
When, now or back then?
Back then.
Oh, what's obsessed? Man, I liked her a lot. I thought I'm like, man, this is a really nice, positive person.
So, like, when you're laying in bed at night, you're like, oh, Danielle, you're hot.
No, I don't think I ever said that to myself at all, but I wanted to before anything happened with Phoebe, I just wanted to let Danielle know how I felt, and she did not feel the same way at all, and it all worked out because I'm best friends with her, and she's best friends with Phoebe, and this is just a boring love triangle, but we do address it on the latest Drew Garabo Uncensored podcast.
How heartbroken were you when she's like, sorry, Seth, we're friends, but that's it.
Hoppe, look at me, dude. I've had women that didn't like me before, so it's not a huge deal.
Were you rejected a lot by women?
I wasn't rejected a lot because I never tried to get with women at all.
I've been rejected so much that I don't have annoyance or anger towards women, but I immediately think negative thoughts. Like, I'm so sexually frustrated that it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't care about all that shit, Hoppe. So you got to tell that stuff to somebody else. I'm not going to help you at all.
I should have Drew be my mentor. Give me some pickup
Your
lines.
sex mentor?
Or not sex, but just how to improve my life.
Hoppe, you're what, like 22?
Yeah.
Okay, listen, man. I didn't even lose my virginity until I was 21. So anything that's happened,
I just feel like time's a waste, Sting. You know what I mean? Time's
for what? Are you looking to get married?
No, I feel like a girlfriend would change me as a person, but I don't know if I want a girlfriend. I don't know what I want. Because, like, whenever a girl begins talking to me on Tinder, my mind immediately goes, oh, my God, will I marry her? Oh, my God, will I have to meet her parents? Oh, my God, we'll have to go out with her? Like, because it's just, my mind's insane, dude.
Your medicine's not working, dude. You got to turn that Lynch pill up or whatever they're giving you.
I'm not crazy. It's just I overthink things.
I do too. It's part of the job. It's part of my personality. But I don't think you need to think all of those things. Now, if I'm going out on a first date with somebody, I'm panicking. I'm going, okay, do I go in for the hug or who's paying or do I pull her chair out? I'm obsessing over that stuff. But wait till you get to that part before you start obsessing. Don't obsess before anything ever happens.
I think it's just because when a girl talks to me, it's like a different vibe. Like, you're not used to it. It's an unreal thought.
You're not used to girls talking to you at all?
I'm not used to non-rejection. So, like, when I get laid, that's maybe why I can't focus, is because I go, this isn't real.
I have such a fear of rejection. I never approach girls at all. Whenever I email somebody about an interview for the show and I'm afraid that they might say no, I always have, like, Nikki read the email or something like that. So I have huge rejection issues as well.
I'm the opposite. People ask me, how do you book these guests? It's like, I just ask them. I don't know.
Yeah, you just sent me a direct message one day. I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do it. I felt honored.
What was so honoring about it? Because I'm nothing more than a podcast.
Actually, nothing was honoring about it last time I did the podcast, but I appreciate that you wanted to have me back on your show. And I know that you're probably just, you're just going through everybody, and it was my turn to come on again. But it's nice enough that you feel like I'm important enough or interesting enough to be on.
Drew put me on the map. I'll never forget. I would listen to my podcast in the car via the aux cord to critique it and see what I think about it. And I'll never forget. I'm coming out of the gym, and I had the radio on 102.5 The Bone, and I'm going, wait, is Drew playing my segment? And it was so weird to hear my voice on the radio, because whenever I've been on the radio, you don't hear your voice on the FM dial. And I'll never forget driving to The Bone for work, because that was the day I did the Ariana Grande concert, and I'm just hearing... Now my podcast get torn apart, but you guys were teasing and having fun. It was just a weird moment when I'm like, that's my voice.
Well, one of the things I respect about you, too, is you're such a good sport about everything. So whether it's us messing around with your podcast and you go, hey, listen, at least they're talking about me, or if you're going on my Calta show and Galvin's tearing you apart, I just think you would do a great job at handling that stuff and still being yourself.
Because here's what I think. If this was my first radio
I just stroked you off, Hoppe. What are we going to thank you or something like that?
No. Listen, let me talk. Are you going to interrupt me? Because this is Hoppe Hour. This isn't Kushner Hour.
Wow. Listen. And I've been here for 5 minutes too long.
No, listen. Before I let you go. The thing that didn't bother me about Drew or Kelta or Johnny B when I'm teased on air, it's not bullying. when it maybe gets to that territory is when it's well-deserved, when I'm using a production room during the day and interrupting production work for an afternoon show that's top-rated. What I'm getting at is, in Cleveland, it was unwarranted and it was pathetic. You don't see Kelta putting pubic hair on my face. You don't see Kelta making me sniff the co-host's foot cheese.
Oh.
You don't see Kelta catfishing me. You don't see Kelta making me talk about my meds on air unwillingly. You don't see Kelta making fun of my mom. So what's done here is making fun of my voice. What's done here is teasing. It's not exploitation and bullying because you're out of material for ratings. So that's why I go, whatever. It comes with the game. You got to deal with the frat house. Over there, it was like a frat house that would get caught for hazing and get kicked out. But here, it's more fun. It's more creative and real.
So where's the thank you for me stroking you off again? I was still just waiting for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I just climaxed. I appreciate it.
That's what I'm here for, man.
Before I let you go, where can people find the show and where can they hear your podcast?
Hear our radio show or hear the podcast?
No,
or?
your opera show. Of course, your podcast.
What? I don't know what we're promoting, Hoppe. I just came on to talk to you.
Where can people find Drew Garabo live, and where can they find your uncensored podcast?
Drew Garabo Live is on 102.5 The Bone, WHBT in Tampa, every day between 2 and 6. You can stream us online, I think. You can find us on the Bone app. And then Drew Garabo Uncensored is on iTunes, and we're on a few other podcasting sites. But just go to our Twitters and at Seth Kush or at Drew on the Radio, and you'll find a link for it.
Where do you want to see the show in the next year, both of them? Like in 2017, on this date, where do you want to see?
Man, that's a great question, Hoppe. That might be your best question yet because it's about me. The podcast, I would like to make money off the podcast. I think that's everybody's.
I do too.
I don't want to. We already work, doing radio 5 days a week, so I'm not necessarily doing a podcast for the hell of it. So I'd like to make some money off it. I think that the Bone is looking to launch something that could help us all make some money off our podcast, you included. The show, I'd like to see the show continue to be successful on the radio, and I think that we're building towards that.
Well, dude, the show is better than ever. I'm glad that everybody from the show seems to be on the same page as me, and I basically hid my face, and I'm not hated anymore because I just felt so bad. I feel like an imbecile that day.
Is that, look at Nikki's taking a picture. Is that why the show's better than ever? Because everybody likes you that's on it right now?
I think also my confidence is up, and I'm really working on being a better person. Like, I just was such an awful human being.
You weren't awful, Hoppe.
I was awful.
I don't think you were awful. You're just a little overexcited.
And over the top. And Olivero and Rob and Kelta put me in my place, and Drew. And now I'm working on being a better human.
Good. I can see that.
Well, Seth, keep up the good work. I do think this podcast worked out overall. Would you agree?
I think so, yes. I might actually tweet the link out to this podcast after it's done this time.
I kind of want some listens.
I know you do. I know that's why I'm on here, to expose.
No, that's not why I had you on.
It is.
You were number 60 and number 1, so I thought, why not revamp it? I've been doing this podcast with the interviews for 6 months, been doing the show for 9 months. I'm like, why not bring back Seth?
I like
Things
it.
are better than ever, and we have a different show because a lot of people don't go out of their way to hear Hoppe Hour. So what happens is they just think of that interview or they think about what people say about me on air, and they don't know the true Ryan Hoppe. And since I consider you a friend, I was like, we should revamp it. So don't you ever think that I'm using you, okay?
No, I'm not at all. But I'll still think about tweeting this out to everybody.
All right, man. I hope you have a great day. And
Thank
you have
you.
some good Netflix and chill tonight.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to catch up on the Royal Rumble.
You're lame.
Why?
Why do you watch wrestling?
Why not, dude? It's just like any other stupid TV show.
Not really. All right. This has been Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe.
You're a
Bye,
bitch!
Seth. Peace.
Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour.